All right, race fans, Ryan Aho here, and the one and only Bert Lehman. Bert, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm happier than a puppy wagging two tails. So, as you can see, I'm hoteling it again. I'm out in Watertown, South Dakota. But it's episode number 80. Let's talk about that. Number 80. I'm gonna let you go first. You must have a number 80. Who do you got?
All right. Well, before we list our numbers, I have to apologize to Jerry Munster for adding a few years to his age last week. I think I said that I thought he was 83. It turns out he was 79, and we're actually recording this on Monday night, and today is actually his birthday. He turns 80 today. So I need to apologize to Jerry Munster, but I mean, it's, to be 80 years old and still out there being competitive in the IMCA modified class. I mean, when I'm 80 years old, I'm hoping I'm I'm able to do that.
Well, there's an 80 right there. And it's just a good thing you didn't like put years on his wife or his, you don't do that to a woman. A guy, we're like, okay, we can live with that. You don't do that to women. I learned that, right? And so with that said, who do you have that's a driver that was number 80 or is?
I was having a hard time thinking of somebody from Eastern Wisconsin, so I'm gonna go more to Central Wisconsin, Western Wisconsin, and I'll go with Troy Kuyas.
There's a guy right there that he hasn't really raced much lately. He was really
No.
good back in the modified days. He raced late model. I went down to
Yep.
Florida, and I got a funny Troy Kuyas story. So I was down there. He didn't have no help. So I'm like, all right, I'll help him a little bit. And I just did like behind the scenes little stuff, right? But we all went out and maybe had a couple too many one night, and a bunch of us were in a rental car. And the guy driving the car decided, you know what? I'm going to try to get as close to these barrel things as we can without hitting it. Well, he got too close, ripped the mirror off the side of the car, right? Scratched the side of the car. His eyes got that big. He's like, oh no, right? Well, needless to say, he didn't get the insurance on it. So he goes to the junkyard. They go to the salvage yard. He gets a mirror. Now, the car had power mirrors. This one did not have power mirrors. So he just got the mirror, but Kuyath has a body shop. Brings it to the track, and he says, Troy, can you put this on? And Troy changed the mirror, kind of buffed out the scratches, brought it back. Nobody said a word, never got in trouble. He was good. Only cost him $100 or so. So that's my Troy Kuyat story there. On the track, the guy was a legend. He won a bunch of races. Guy I never really got to see him race much, but AJ Johnson comes to mind. He ran a lot over in Ashland. I feel he was maybe from Ironwood, Michigan, but I know Greg Kuklinski drove for him, and that's where the 80 comes from up in that area. He was a legend up, I guess, in northern Wisconsin. So AJ Johnson. So this episode, Bert, is being brought to us by Dirt Track Supply right here in Watertown, South Dakota. I'm gonna stop in and say hi to them guys tomorrow. But trackside service at multiple different racetracks. If you need parts, if you need service, you need something worked on, get a hold of Trevor, get a hold of Ron. They'll take good care of you. I mean, them guys have been around racing for a long time. They know what it takes. They know how to treat people. And tip of the cap to Trevor Anderson. Apparel wins, Bert, on the week for Trevor in the 20. Aero Nation, of course, they build the Aero chassis, and they build Streeters, and they build Supers, and they build Midwest mods, and he's in an A mod. So apparel wins for him. I think he won Friday night. I think was out at the Brown County Speedway in Aberdeen, and then Sunday right here in Watertown at the Casino Speedway. So Aero Nation and Victory Lane in Dirt Track Supply, that's where you get it. So Bert, let's jump over to Eastern Wisconsin. I'll let you start. I know you're probably still a little bit in mourning because the rain hit. Shano didn't get to race, right? But
Well,
there was
well, they got a little bit of racing in. I mean, they got the races started. The first late model heat race completed, and then the second late model heat race came out, and one of the drivers stopped on the track, and you couldn't even tell that it was starting to rain. And then all of a sudden you looked at the track and it was getting shiny, and it's like, yep, it's raining. And I mean, it didn't rain. I mean, it wasn't a heavy rain either. It was just a very light rain and no more than 10 minutes. But, you know, it took out the track. I mean, maybe if they would have really wanted to, they could have worked it back in and stuff, but it would have taken a little bit to do that. And so unfortunately, they canceled the rest of the program, which is disappointing because they had the track the tackiest that it's been all year. So I was actually looking forward to seeing what the features were going to be like, because I think there would have been a decent cushion. So, and there really hasn't been a cushion yet this year at Shawano. So I was looking forward to the features, but it wasn't meant to be. And you know, before I get to Plymouth, I just want to say with this last weekend, I do believe that every track in eastern Wisconsin has opened and has hosted a race. You know, I'm just talking about eastern Wisconsin, like from Green Bay on down. So that's good to see. The Hill and Sturgeon Bay had their first race this last weekend, and they didn't get the race at all last year. So that it's good to see them back going. But in Plymouth, Tim Bueller, and this may be some listeners may recognize this name because he did win a feature. It was either in the late 90s or early 2000s in the Dakotas.
There you go, calling people old again. What's with you? I mean, people are going to quit listening to the show. You keep calling people old.
I didn't call anybody old. I just said it was in the late 90s or early 2000s. He won a race in the Dakotas. But Tim Bueller won his 99th career feature at Plymouth Dirt Track on Saturday night. So congratulations to him. Justin Ritchie, who had won the previous 2 weeks, finished sixth, I believe. So again, congratulations.
Call him out again.
Richie? Wow, yeah.
Six. Come on.
Wow.
Kill him.
It's better than the finish he had the next night at Wilmot.
He broke a shock. It sounds like over at he broke a shock. What I understand, I talked to Jason from of course the Discount Shop Towels Dirt King series, and he said Justin Ritchie broke a shock, so that's why he DNF'd there.
Okay, yeah, because he finished last in that race. But yeah, I mean the Wilmot race, the Dirt Kings race in Wilmot, that was the big show in eastern Wisconsin this past weekend. And, you know, leading into that's one thing that Dirt Kings, they do a really good job of promoting their upcoming shows. But this show kind of showed what some of the pitfalls of doing that does. Because, you know, they got pre-entries from Bobby Pierce and Jason Fager, and, you know, when I saw those, you know, I got really excited, and then neither one of them showed up, but Dennis Erb Jr. was there. So everybody kind of assumed that Erb was just going to run away with the show. And then he started on the front row in the feature. So then everybody really thought that he was going to run away with the show. And actually he kind of was running away with the show. I haven't seen any I just saw little clips of video here and there. Because Lance Allen, he's a sportscaster from a TV station down in Milwaukee, and they had some footage of the last few laps. And but from my understanding, is Erb had like a half a straightaway lead on the field, and then there was a caution with seven laps left, and with 4 laps remaining, Taylor Scheffler passed Erb on the outside and pulled away from him once he passed him. So, you know, that it's a huge victory for Taylor Scheffler, who's run quite a bit in the northern Illinois tracks, you know, against some of these drivers. So maybe some of that experience racing against those guys paid off, because, you know, it's no tough feat to pass, or, you know, a national driver. I mean, he's a national driver, so to take a win like that is pretty good.
I'll take some of our top guys over Erb all day.
Well, I know,
all day long. I could probably name 4 guys that were at that race that I'd be like, equal equipment, these guys will school him. There's nothing against him, but I'm kind of a homer, and I know for certain that some of our guys are definitely better than him for sure. So definitely great seeing him run and win and drive around him and show that. Nick Anblink, another podium, right? Got a third
Yep.
place. So he's been on the podium. He's been very strong to start the season. Jesse Glenns, who ran the USMTS stuff, pulled off in the heat. Sounds like the track was kind of a rodeo track in the heat or something. He pulled off, went through the beat. When did he get eighth, Bert? I think he started 19th and got. So we got the hard charger. Just too bad that he started so deep in the heat and just wasn't able to start towards the front and actually make something there. But 4,300 to win the Diamond 43. Was it Jim Letizia? Is that who the race was kind of in memory? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they've always had the Diamond 43. It's always one of the biggest races on the Dirt King schedule, but obviously this year it had a little bit more special meaning to it with the passing of Jim over the off season. So
I saw something that was Diamond Jim, right? Is that
it's Diamond Jim. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. So I went to a race a couple weeks in a row now, hitting the racetrack. I went to the High Flying Half Mile Viking Speedway in Alexandria. And first thing I'm going to start out, kudos to them guys, because it's a board run track and they're doing all kinds of different stuff to try to throw some extra money at the drivers, do some extra stuff for the fans. Like a pre-race deal, like they have a gal there from the radio station interviewing people. They do that kind of stuff just to build interest. They have a point fund. They're doing dashes for extra money. They have a sweet bonus. So they have all kinds of cool stuff happening. Diamond Buick GMC, Jason Tennis is the general manager over there, and he's won a pile of races over at Viking. They sponsor the Nightbird, and they did something unique. They said, you know what, we're going to give $1,000 away to some random driver, right? To some random driver. And basically at the pit meeting, they picked the driver's name out, and that person was getting $1,000 sponsorship from Diamond Buick GMC, which I thought was super cool. And hats off to Jeff Krause there, because he's on the board. He races. He's like, I ain't even putting my name in that deal. I was like if I won that on the board, I'd never hear the end of it ever. He goes, so I want somebody else. I'm going to be here anyway. I want somebody else to win that. So I thought that was good. And then, so Jeff Krause also, by the way, Bert, sticker charged. He went on his own. He got a One to Go Show sticker, right? First One to Go Show sticker ever made. This week, he sends me a picture of it, puts it on his car. One race, one feature win, undefeated, One to Go Show sticker. If you want to be fast, if you want to win races, if you're struggling, get a hold of us. We'll get you a sticker, because, he ran a good race, and he really did. He was super patient. He had some heavy pressure from Moss, and he was really patient on the restarts. But I got to take at least 50% of the credit, because I think the sticker had a lot to do with it. What do you think?
It's possible. I mean, you don't know the power of the One to Go Show.
That's exactly. I mean, we call out Justin Ritchie threatening bridesmaid dress. He wins 2 features, right? So I think there's a little bit more to it than what people think. So
looking at it that way, yeah. I mean, our power was showing last year already, because you called out Pat Dorr early in the season.
I think I need to do it again, and I might at the end of the show, because he's been like turtle races. He might get third in turtle races. He ain't been very good. But, that's going to lead me, Bert. So the racing wasn't all that good, okay? And that leads me to this, is Ryan's rant of the week, okay? I get it. Let's be honest. It's dirt track racing, right? Sometimes you just don't get it right. Sometimes there's variables, and it's like, it got away from us. It did, right? And sometimes you put too much water on, and sometimes you don't put enough water on. It's racing. It happens. I get it. We all make mistakes. But, Bert, what makes my blood boil, I'm telling you more than anything on planet Earth, is when you get to the racetrack and it's bone dry dusty in the first hot lap session, like, it just drives me nuts, right? I can't even tell you how mad that makes me, as a driver and as a board member, okay? So here's the deal. I feel for the board over there. I really do, because I was on the board at the Hibbing Raceway back around 2010, and I'm going to share a little story what happened there, because there's a lot of board members there. There's people involved that are doing extra things, trying to get people to the track, trying to build a fan base, trying to get them interested in racing, and then the track prep crew lays an egg, right? It's like, them people are never coming back, ever. ever, right? It's like, are you kidding me? In my opinion, if you get to the track and it's bone dry, dusty, and hot laps, the track prep crew, they don't get paid that week, period. Because clearly they didn't do nothing, right? So you ain't getting a paycheck. Sorry. And if you don't like it, quit, because you ain't doing nothing anyway. You ain't out nothing, right? So, I mean, if they're that bad at doing the track and it's bone dry and dusty and hot laps, if they walk away and quit, who cares? I mean, you can't replace doing nothing with doing nothing, so it don't really hurt nothing. But I was in Hibbing there, Bert. We had a salute the troops night, and one thing I like about dirt track racing is we're patriots, right? We support the military, we support the police. We just do. That's racers are that kind of people. So are people in rodeo, by the way, the two best sports out there. Now we had a really cool deal where we had a band come in, and they did the national anthem before. There was going to be some music after the races, fireworks. We let all the active and veterans in for free. There was a ton of people there that night that never been to a race, never been there. we had bonus money that year for drivers that painted their cars in kind of a page if they had a special wrap or whatever. So we did some pretty cool stuff, right? It was so bad. The track was so bad. They had to literally in the middle of, I think it was a Midwest mod feature. I went up on top of my hauler. I was racing a mod at the time, and I look out at the track. I'm like, what is going on here, right? I literally at the time I text during the race the scorer up in the booth. I'm like, can you see the cars? Because I can't. She's like, I can't see nothing. I said, tell him to throw the red flag right now. She's like, what? I'm like, red flag right now. I was on the board. I'm like, red flag right now, right? They threw the red flag, and the drivers are like, I couldn't see nothing. I mean, it was like literally, there was on the Weather Channel, they said, man, there is a huge storm system over northern Minnesota, and it was really just the dust from the racetrack, right? I was mortified. I mean, I was absolutely ready to kill somebody, mortified. And I had no control over that, right? And kind of the same thing at Viking Speedway is there's certain board members, they're all getting sponsors, and sponsors are bringing people to the racetrack, and they're doing all this different stuff. And then the track prep crew lays an egg. It's like, it kills me because it's like, it's out of my control. And that was my least favorite thing about being on the board was I can do all this extra stuff, right? And if the track is absolutely terrible, I can't do nothing about it except for shake my head and go, well, I hope we can find some more new people to come next week because these ones ain't coming back, right? So if you think about it, most promoters, not all, but most promoters only focus on racing. They simply have forgotten that we're in the entertainment industry, right? They're like, we're here to put on a race. And if you look at the advertising for dirt track racing, right? If you look at most ads, not all, but most ads, it's here's the classes, here's the purse. That's it. What are they advertising to? They're advertising to the drivers, right? Because they're advertising the purse. As a fan, I don't really give a crap like what Tom, Dick, and Harry are getting paid. Don't make no difference to me. Don't care. I get it. If it's a 10 grand to win deal and they're usually paying 1,000 to win, it's kind of cool to hear that little bit of extra hype up. But on a regular night purse, I'm like, I don't care if they get 750 or 1,000. It makes no difference to the entertainment that I'm going to see. I don't care, right? And then when they promote, here's the classes of cars that are coming. Who are they advertising to? People that are already race fans. Well, guess what? They already know there's a race happening. They don't need to do all that. All you got to do is look at the Facebook page or My Race Pass or whatever.
Well,
makes no sense.
You mentioned Facebook. I mean, you're talking about advertising. I mean, how many tracks actually even advertise anymore?
They might throw some Facebook posts out.
Well, that's what I mean.
Maybe a little bit on the radio, right?
A lot of tracks just think, well, if I put something on Facebook, everybody's going to see it, and that's not the case.
That is not. No,
but you just can't drill that into the mindset.
So Bert, I was at the racetrack. I didn't leave the track till 4:30 in the morning. 4:30 in the morning, and because when I go to the racetrack now, I want to connect with people. I've been around racing my whole life. I mean, I don't go to the Viking Speedway every week, so I wanted to visit with a bunch of drivers. I got an opportunity to do that, but then after the races, I literally spent about 2 hours, 2.5 hours with Jason Tennis, who this guy's won a pile of races, right? I mean, he's the Tennis family at the Viking Speedway. They've been around a long time. I saw him coming into the event. Like we came in at the same time and we left at the same time. Now we went different places because he sponsored the night, and Bert, he brought a whole bunch of people with him that have never been to a race. He did his part, right? He did his part. He not only did he give money out of his own pocket, right, to a driver, didn't have to do that, right? He did that for promotional purposes. I get it, but he went above and beyond and brought people to the track. I'm hoping all the sponsors bring people to the track on their nights. That's kind of the goal. Let's get more people there. He was so genuinely excited before the races, like he was excited. He goes, man, I got a lot of people coming. We're up in the booth. This is gonna be a fun night. We're doing some pretty cool stuff. He was so disgusted at the end of the night that like he couldn't even barely talk. Like he was like yelling at people, like he was mad, right? And why was that? Because they were up in the booth, right? And halfway through the event, Bert, half the people just left and they said, it's just not fun. He's like, okay, no, there's some solutions to this, right? Because I get it. Racing isn't going to be for everybody. It's simply not. We understand. Okay. I mean, there's some dumb people out there that don't like racing. It's not our fault. We can't control that, right? Okay. So with that said, how do you, what's a solution? Okay. I have a viable solution to the problem. Engagement. Okay. Would you agree, Bert? Now would you consider yourself a die-hard race fan? Like you just love racing, don't matter the class, you watch all the races, probably don't even really need to know, right?
Yeah.
That's a small percentage of people. I would say you and Troy Powers and a couple others are diehard. Now he's a big late model fan, but he's a race fan, but a diehard fan. Okay, you're there specifically to watch racing, and I get it. It's a racetrack. That's what you go there to do, but you still want to be entertained. Now, me personally, I cannot handle watching racing. I can't unless I know somebody. I can't. Like growing up, I had so many friends, Bert, that said, all it is a bunch of cars going around in a circle. It's so boring. And to be completely and utterly honest, if you don't know somebody or have somebody to cheer for or cheer against, kind of agree. Okay, I kind of agree. So with that said, heat races, okay, big half-mile racetrack, you shouldn't run 6-car heats. Okay, note to the Viking Speedway, no more 6-car heats, please. They're stupid. Okay, got to get rid of that. 6 cars on a half mile. Okay. But if you bring new people in, let's say you're a sponsor, and this is any track, right? If you're a sponsor to the night and you bring people with you, those people typically get free passes to get in. Now, if I bring somebody to the track, I'm personally, if I bring somebody new to the racetrack, the first half of the event, I'm going down in the pits. Because a lot of those people that were up in the booth, they said, well, when did the main event start? We don't care about this stuff. When did the main event start? Well, if it's 2.5 hours before the main event starts, they're long. You lost them already. They ain't going to stick around for the mains. So what I recommend, if anybody listening brings somebody to the track, go in the pits and take all the classes. Hopefully it's only 4, not 12, okay? But take all the classes and go introduce them to somebody that's likable, that you think is going to be fun to watch. So that way, now they're like, when all the features come out, they're like, oh, now I have somebody to cheer for. Okay, do that. Now, if there's side note, okay, sex sells. We all know it, right? So if there's a cute chick racing and it's a young guy, bring him to introduce him to her, so that way he'll cheer twice as loud, right? So it's all marketing. It's all creating that engagement. So at first, Jason Tennis went off on one of the board members about, oh, the dashes are stupid. You got to get rid of them. 5 classes of dashes. They're running, 4 or 5 laps, 4 to 6 cars. He goes, there's no entertainment value. Absolutely agree. That is true. Do you want to watch, Bert, 4 cars on a racetrack on a half mile?
No, probably not.
Okay. So I agree with him there. But I'm going to give kudos to the Viking Speedway because they're like, this is just an extra way to get some sponsors involved and give some drivers some extra money. And me as a racer, and we did this because I was helping Jeff Krause. He's like, let's use it as a test session. That's what we decided to do. We made a couple changes to the car. It worked. He won the feature, right? So you can use it as a test. But to create engagement during that, Bert, what about, let's say you have 4 classes of cars, and let's say you have 6 cars in a dash. Why don't you draw out 6 fans per class then? Match up a fan with the driver for the dash, and if the winner gets $100, so does the fan. Go get a sponsor for that, and now you have engagement, and you pique their interest, and now they have something to watch, right? Think about fantasy football. What has that done for the NFL, right? So creating that kind of stuff. So with that said, all this extra stuff, right? All this extra stuff that people do, it means nothing if the track is terrible because it just ruined the whole night, right? But on the flip side of that, okay, there's a lot of tracks out there, most, that don't do anything extra. Nothing. Literally nothing extra. They're like, we're going to have the race program. We're going to get it through in a timely fashion. We're here, get in, get out. We're done. We want to race. And then they give you a crappy track. It's like, dude, you have one thing to do and you can't even do that right. Like, I mean, if your only focus is the racing, it better be really good racing, right? And if you can't do that right, oh my God, fix it, right? So let's move that to the buses. Bert, did you see the crowd at the Cedar Lake Speedway on Saturday?
I saw some photos of the crowd and some video of the before the event.
I am telling you what, man. I got some text messages with some other pictures because I was asking for it on the Cedar Lake Speedway. They got like a fan group deal or whatever that I'm in. It was a record crowd. Now, think about the USA Nationals. This is a crown jewel event. They had more people than that. It was a record attendance at the Cedar Lake Speedway, according to Chris, who is one of the promoters over there. He said there was over 10,000 paid people, not counting the kids that came in under a certain age for free. That's not even counting them. He says probably closer to 11,000 people at the Cedar Lake Speedway. And what did they have? Buses, B-mods, and non-wing sprints. So you and I both, right? We have had conversations where like, B-mods, kidding me? Like they can't make 3 laps without spinning out. Like bring us late models or modifieds or something. I can't handle watching these. They put on a good show. They did. They had a really good race program. The non-wing sprints and the B-mods there, top notch. Track didn't get wore out because it was only 2 classes of cars. Also, right? That's also cool. But they had the buses. Now, here's the deal. Do you think 10,000 people came specifically because, oh my God, it's buses? I don't. I think 10,000 people came, Bert, because they went out and they actually hands-on promoted this event. See, advertising is when you do a radio ad, Facebook, TV. That's like, hey, we're doing this, come over, right? For this event here, and Cedar Lake Speedway has been working very hard on this, so hats off to them. Congratulations on a job well done and a super successful event because they've earned that. You know, they went above and beyond to do something different. I mean, I'm so happy to see that they had success with that. That's a great deal. They really did a good job with that. But they got the communities involved, right? Every surrounding community had a bus assigned to them. And they've gone to the schools and they've gone to everywhere in town saying, come watch your bus. And they try to get somebody from that community that's going to be driving the bus. So that way it's like, well, my friend Marty, who's never raced anything, he's going to be running a bus against these other towns. We're going to go watch Marty. That's called promoting. They went above and beyond. Now, that worked fantastic. Grand Rapids Speedway, the best events they have of the year, Enduros. Packed the place. Packed them. To me, Bert, watching bus races and watching Enduros is boring. What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, to me, it's not as exciting as, for me anyway, as watching regular racing. But yeah, I mean, what makes that event so large is they involve the different communities, like you said. So people are they're not going there to watch the event. They're going there to watch the people in the event.
That 100% correct. Now, Let's apply that same philosophy to dirt track racing, right? The same philosophy. Imagine if they promoted weekly racing the same way they promoted that, because guess what? There's race car drivers in every community in the area. No different, right? Half the people in the area don't even know there's a race car driver in town, right? So Liquid Nitro, Matt Bowl has been saying this for a long time. He says we have to get back to grassroots where we're getting cars over to grocery stores and bars and out front of places and getting people there and building the fan base back up. They got to apply that to dirt track racing, Bert, because right now the only people going to watch dirt track racing are typically diehard fans, former racers, family members of racers. That's basically it. It's kind of they're not doing anything most areas to really grow the fan base above and beyond what it is. This is a whole. They started this deal from scratch just a handful of years ago. It's not been that long, and it's on the upward rise. It's getting better and better and better every year. It's not a super exciting thing. And let's face it, there wasn't 100 buses. It's not like they're going, well, they're only going to have 8, 10 of them. We ain't going. I think that's all there was, 8, 10, 12, something like that. Not a ton. So in dirt track racing, it's the same thing. Guess what? You can have 12 cars in a class and still have a good fan base if you promote it properly, right? So that they just prove that with the buses. So these promoters, you got to do things different. And you know what else grinds my gears, Bert? I had a conversation with somebody today. Is what's sad to me is most tracks, they don't promote. They don't. They simply don't. But they are more than happy to replace actual promoting with overinflated ticket prices. Let's just take all the people that are coming. We'll just charge them way more. That'll do it. That'll help us pay the purse. We'll just charge everybody way more. And then guess what happens? Less people come. They're like, I ain't paying $30 to get in the pits. Are you serious? Who the hell's gonna pay? Why on earth should somebody pay $30 to get in the pits? We talked about this last week. You know what's worse than $30 to get in the pits, Bert? When 7-year-old kids pay $30 to get in the pits. I was a single dad. My daughter came with me. If I had to go to a track and they're like, okay, your daughter's 6 years old, you got to pay full price, $30 to get her in. That's stupid. Like, I ain't going back. I'll go somewhere else. It's going to pay $30. Now, I'm a firm believer that it should be 12 and under free in the pits, just like it is a grandstand. And if you're a racetrack and you're like, well, 12 and under ain't free at my track, well, you're an idiot. I don't know how else to put it. If you're charging people to get in the grandstands under the age of 12, you're just flat out dumb, because you don't understand, you don't have any vision of what you're actually doing. So overinflated ticket prices should not replace actual promoting. So there's my rant. I had to get that off my chest because it just grinds on me. Let's get to some racing. So you watched the stuff over in Eastern Wisconsin. I'll talk a little bit about, there was some good stuff that happened in the racing community in our area. And the first thing, another tip of the cap, Halverline Speedway, Proctor, Minnesota. Bert, that was my home away from home. I mean, half my pit crew is from Proctor. I mean, I had the best memories growing up. They had last year off because of COVID. They had their opening night on Sunday. They started at 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. 5 o'clock racing. It's going to be a debacle. Side-by-side racing all night long. It was a really good. They had some pretty good races over there, multiple lanes, passing in all the classes. Buddy of mine, Andrew Inman, got his first career win. That first career win there. He won over in Superior. His first win. I used to park next to him. I remember we'd be parking next. I remember him throwing tires at people, right? I remember that guy. And it was pretty cool to see him in Victory Lane. He has big mullet. They call him Mullet Nation now. But great racing over in Proctor. And, Gondik Law Speedway had some good racing. Did you watch any of the Wissota stuff, Bert? Did you watch anything from our area?
I just watched the B-Mod feature at Ogilvy, and then the Rice Lake late model feature.
Well, let's do this. Let's talk about Ogilvy, all right? Because now I got to get back to my rant mode here. I was just in a good mood. You bring up Ogilvy, and for the most part, they do a good job. They really do. But this last Saturday, come on, man. What do you do? Okay. Anybody who thinks that putting 29 B-mods in a feature is a good idea, You either own a tin business, a fab business, or you just don't pay attention. Okay. Have a B main. It's okay. It's okay to send some people home and say, Bert, you didn't make the feature tonight. It just wasn't your night. Okay. You didn't qualify. We're just going to go ahead. You got to get in the top 24 to make it in. Just going to send you home. That's okay. Okay. I know people have gotten soft. I know people are like they want everybody wants to play and pretty soon all 29 cars are going to get a trophy. I get it. But this bit because Zach Benson, who has been rocket fast, he had won like 3 of his last 4 going into that deal. He come from 7th. He's in 2nd. And the dude that started 29th, and I'm not putting this all on that guy because it was kind of a racing deal, in my opinion, when it happened. He kind of held his line. Zach maybe came up a little bit, but either way, contact was made. You make the call on that, right? That guy shouldn't have been on the track in the first place. He started 29th. Don't start 29 cars, and Zach Benson's not upside down. That's on the track. So please, racetracks. I get it. We all want more and more cars on. 29 is too many in a B mod. That is just an accident waiting to happen. That happened there. And then in the mod feature, I got a question for you, Bert. I want your thoughts on the 4-wide salute. Give me your thoughts. And let's start with special events. Are you okay with the 4-wide salute at a special event?
Yeah.
How about on a weekly basis, like every week?
I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I can see. Well, I mean, if you're doing it every week, yeah, it can get to be redundant, and especially if if there's time limits involved at the track that's hosting the event and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I love it at specials. I really do. I love all that extra stuff. As long as it doesn't make for an 8-hour program. If you can keep the program in a timely fashion, that 3-hour, 3.5 maybe window, I'm okay with that extra stuff. I love it. I think it just adds to the program. But on a regular night, okay. But if you're gonna do it on a regular night, don't rush the drivers. And I get it, mistakes happen. Trust me, I made a lot of them in a lot of different realms. I promise. Okay, but from what I understand, is talking to some drivers, they went from the 4-wide salute to everybody get in line. We're going green. We're going green. They kind of rushed them into line, and they went to throw the green, and everybody piled up getting into turn number 3, going for the green flag because they just weren't set. Okay, so if you're gonna rush everybody to get lined up, like if time's an issue, just don't do the 4-wide salute. Just don't do it. Okay, just get rid of it. If you're gonna do the 4-wide salute, you gotta give them a few laps to get lined up. There was some.
No, I agree.
There was some mod drivers that were a little bit upset about that deal, and like I said, I mean, we've all made mistakes, and I will say hats off to Ogilvy because they're trying to make it more of an event. I've nothing against that. They're doing some extra stuff, and they got fireworks, and they got music playing, so they're doing that for the crowd to try to make it more entertaining. I get that, but just give them a couple extra laps to get set, and hopefully that don't happen again. Menominee. So Menominee on Friday night, a first-time winner in the Midwest Mod class. First-time winner in the Midwest Mod class at the Red Cedar Speedway. Bert, did you see that?
No, I did not see that.
Might have been his first career win at Red Cedar. I'm not sure. Somebody's going to have to let me know, but Jimmy Mars got it done in the Midwest Mods. So I'm not sure if he's won anything there before. Jimmy Mars, do you think? So he got up in there. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. He didn't have the best car. He didn't. In fact, he got up inside the top 5, and that 14-year-old Kennedy Swan that won, or that she won a race, or she won there last week, she drove by him like his shit was broke. All right? I'm like literally, it got me on the edge of my seat. I'm watching it with John Tardy. I'm like, holy crap, she just drove by Jimmy Mars, like 14-year-old girl. I'm like, this is awesome. And then she's battling with JD Ford. It was kind of on the bottom, and she picked up a push and maybe got pinched, and Jimmy's smart enough to kind of have awareness, drove by him and won. But pretty entertaining race. The track was pretty good over at the Red Cedar Speedway. In the modified, we were talking about Ashley Anderson. He had 3 in a row, and Buzzy Adams says, if I start taking this a little bit seriously, these people are in big, big trouble. and he showed that because he went 2-2 this week for Buzzy. So some pretty good racing there. Gondik Lost Speedway there, Bert. Travis Budaslavich, we've been talking about him a little bit last year. Started third row, and he drove by Doer. He drove by Jeffrey Massengill, who's been running good. He drove by Daryl Nelson, and he just absolutely kicked their tails by like a straightaway. Budaslavich looking pretty good in that late model. We're going to keep an eye on him for the power rankings, Bert. So pretty good racing this weekend coming up. I'm pretty excited. Both of my home tracks, so to speak, Grand Rapids Speedway and Hibbing Raceway, they're opening up this week. So I think by the end of this weekend, I think all the Wissota tracks will be open. Maybe Madison's a week out, maybe, but pretty much everything's going to be open. Let's get to some national news. Did you watch any of the World of Outlaw sprint cars?
I watched the highlights of the features, and once again, they were it was some pretty exciting racing. And Donnie Schatz just can't get that number 300.
The first night, yeah, he led a portion of that. So first of all, again, tip of the cap to Keith, our sprint car expert, because he was spot on. This was a Pennsylvania posse versus a World of Outlaw deal. So, I mean, they got a rivalry, right? And we'll talk about that in a second. But he said, watch Lance Deweese. He's gonna be there. And I think he broke something the first night, but he was on the podium the next two, and he had a really good hot rod. So he was spot on. He's evidently he's our expert for a reason. He knew what he was looking at. But why don't you just fill us in quick on I guess who won and kind of the action there.
Who did win the first night? I forgot who won the first night. Oh, Brad Freak.
Oh yeah,
Wait, that was my driver.
Good one. Good one. You and Jeff both picked him, right? I had been picking him, and I went with the Shots train all week long, and I was hoping maybe to give him a little mojo, but that
it was.
Let's face it, Sweet got lucky. He got lucky.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, the race wasn't given to him, but I can't remember who was leading at the time. But a slower car got squirrely in front of the leader, so the leader had to slow up a little bit, which allowed Sweet to get into the lead, and then he never looked back after that.
Yeah, it was it, and they didn't go yellow. Everybody kept going, and so I mean, it was good overall. I know Aaron Reitzel won the last one. I don't remember who won the second one.
Macedo
won the second one. Yeah,
barely over Deweese.
Yeah, Deweese was right there. He's so good on the bottom there. Everybody hustling the high side, and I mean, he just kind of parked it. And he said, I think Keith pointed this out, or maybe Jeff. I get in trouble because I give them both calls out here. But they said he has a different line there than he runs anywhere else, and nobody else runs that line. And he's flat out right. He's right when he says that, because he was so good on the bottom. Like, he could just, he kind of looked like Jeffrey Massengill. Run on the bottom when nobody else can. He just shoot off the corner, right? And Deweese put on a really good show. Now, the last night there when Reitzel won, Jeff pointed this out. He goes, these freaking fans are worse than Bears fans, right? Like, they're a bunch of lunatics up there. They're booing him and, like, hollering at him and stuff, because obviously it was a World of Outlaw sweep. They went up there and kind of took all of them from the PA posse up there. They didn't really like that very well. Let's just say the fans up there did not celebrate a guy winning on their home turf, which is good for the sport. That's super good for the sport. And it would have been really cool to see Deweese win, because when you have them rivalries and they steal one like that, it's fun to see that kind of passion, whether they're yelling cheers or yelling boos or whatever. That overall passion is really, really good for racing. So let's talk some late models. What is your thoughts on Lucas Oil canceling this past weekend's races because Shane Clanton evidently was having a hard time getting fuel, or was costing too much? Or what do you know about that whole deal?
Well, I read the story that Dirt on Dirt had about this, and I mean, Shane, according to the article, Shane Clanton was the first one who brought up that there's going to be a shortage of fuel down here, but the article made it sound like the promoters of the two tracks were ultimately the ones that decided to cancel the events, because what they weren't necessarily worried about the drivers getting there with their haulers and stuff, but they said that their expected attendance were going to be driving from long distances, and they were concerned that the spectators wouldn't be able to get the fuel that they needed to get out of the area.
That's interesting. And they had regular programs, which of course you can do that. It don't cost nearly as much. You don't need as many fans there. So I get it. But never in a million years did I think all of a sudden people be going, well, we're going to cancel the show, fuel shortage, right? I burn up fuel like it's going out of style, right? So that'd be kind of a bad deal because I put on a lot of miles. So interesting that canceled. Do you know if they rescheduled those events?
I'm unaware if they rescheduled those events.
Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on the Lucas Oil website to see that. Now, in other news, we'll get to the World of Outlaw side. The high side tickler got the boot. And what do you know about that? I'll touch a little bit on what I might know.
I mean, I really don't know much other than they decided to part ways. It's interesting because, I mean, Strickler had some of his own equipment prior to the season, but he no longer has his own equipment because he sold it to the team when they made the switch from Rocket to Longhorn. So I read that he plans on being at Eldora, but he doesn't know what his future holds for him for the rest of the year.
I think he said he's planning on being at Port Royal.
That could be too.
Yes.
Maybe it was Port Royal and Eldora.
Yeah, and that's coming up this weekend. Now let's be honest with, he's talented. He's fun to watch. And the fact of the matter is, I think he's got some life issues. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail, but the article also cited personal problems, right? And there's some rumors that have gone around that maybe there's a reason that he parted ways with Lethal, right? He was working pretty hand in hand with David Stremme for a while. And from my sources, this is from my sources, is that he had an addiction issue. And that's why he just couldn't handle it. And they split ways there. Hopefully that's not the case again. That's kind of what the rumors are going around. If he does, hopefully he can get that straightened out. Addictions are no joke. I mean, I know a lot of people we all have that have gone through it. And he's not the first one in the dirt late model community to have those problems, right? So clearly he's talented. Hopefully he can get his life back in order because we need a talent like that in the sport. Somebody that's got that personality. So needless to say, Kyle Strickler looking for a ride right now. In that the team that he was driving for sounds like they might run some specials this year too. They don't have a driver. They don't have a plan. They're planning on having a full field next year. And I think they actually just bought Bloomquist hauler, that big one that he had. I think his car owner bought that hauler. So they're spending some money. So whoever gets into that ride, you're going to have a pretty nice opportunity there. So it'll be interesting to see who gets into that. Any predictions? Any thoughts on who might take over the driving duties there?
I don't even know. According to the article, they said that several drivers have contacted him about the potential of driving for him, but they didn't list any names.
Maybe I should put my hat in the ring. Oh, wait. I might be a little old and washed up. They're probably looking for somebody a little younger. I'm thinking maybe like a Ross Bales or somebody like that. Somebody that's kind of looking to get after it. It'll be interesting to see who gets in that ride. Now, the Mars late models, with the Lucas canceling, no World of Outlaw racing this weekend, I was already excited for Farmer City and for Falls, right? The Farmer 74, Fairbury on Saturday. I'm like, wait, with the Lucas Oil races, this is going to be even better, right? And they didn't really gain much. They didn't really gain as much as I thought. And did you watch those two races?
Yeah, I did watch both of them. The Farmer City one wasn't.
You're not getting that. You're not getting that half hour of your life back. It's gone. It's gone.
Well, one thing when you watch them afterwards, you can fast forward through the cautions and stuff like that. So it's not a full half hour then.
And even the actual racing, I mean, it rubbered up, and just shame on Farmer City because they have the ability to put on some really good racing action over there. And I don't know if they had weather coming. I'm not sure what happened, but it was basically rubber from I mean, it was just a joke. There was 74 lap debacle is what it was. I don't remember who won that one, Bert. Do you remember who won that one?
Um, your guy.
Brandon Shepard. I actually said the Rocket One's gonna win, and you're like, are you sure about that? I'm like, oh no, he might run the B5, which you were right, he did. And we didn't have picks on that one, but I said he was gonna win both of them. And when he won the first one, and then he started on the front row and he led right away in the second one, or I don't even know if he led long because English kind of got the lead. But I'm like, holy cow, he might win both of these. And kind of disappointed he faded at Fairbury, which you don't really see him do that often. Fairbury's always a good race. I don't think the track was quite as good as normal, but there was still slide jobs and grip. And through the middle part of that race, it got pretty good for a while.
It was pretty, through the middle part of the race. I mean, there was a point where Dennis Erb, Shirley, and Tanner English were, really going at it. At one point, I think there were 3 wide, and it was a good race. I mean,
yeah, it was one of the better ones of the week for sure.
Right.
Not quite I always like good finishes there, and I guess sometimes you have a great middle of the race. The finish ain't so good, but it was pretty good. Unzicker got 5th with his MB, so he had a good run there. And another guy that really kind of been struggling, he's got some wins, but he's been struggling. Brandon Overton getting a big payday, Bert, 20,000 to win down in Virginia. Did you happen to see the name of that race?
No.
King of the Commonwealth. King of the Commonwealth. I don't think the war is over down there. I think you get down in that area, it's still civil war going on down there. I mean, they have their Commonwealth pride. You get down in that part of the country, and Overton got it done. I think he drove by Jimmy Owens to get her. He actually, you know what? He started on the front row, Bert. He fell all the way back to 8th.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah, and he drove back to the front. That was actually a pretty decent race there too. I saw that one on dirt. So with that said, let's get into a little who's hot and who's not. Who's hot, Bert? Who do you got? Give me a few drivers. Who's hot right now?
Well, I'm going to say Taylor Scheffler after his big win down in Wilmot, and even the weekend prior, he had qualified for some of those races in Northern Illinois for the Mars Series.
$4,300 payday. That's the biggest race of the year for the Discount Shop Towels Dirt King Series. So, hats off to him. Sure.
And since I've put him on my not hot list a few times, I'm going to say Dennis Erb Jr. Since he didn't get victories, but he was on the podium a lot over the last weekend. So, maybe that's a confidence booster for once he gets back onto the World of Outlaw Tour. And
you think they can get him to smile, Bert, if he wins? I don't know what it is. So we all know women, and I'm not going to name any names because I like life. I value it, right? But certain women kind of have that. They call it resting bitch face. If there was a word for resting bitch face for a guy, should we just call it the herb face? Can we call it that?
No comment.
He never looks happy. The dude never smiles, ever. He's just got that, and maybe he is happy, but he just kind of got that, like, always crabby looking to him. So he's kind of intimidating that way.
Yeah, you could look at it that way. And for the last driver, I'm going to steal your thunder a little bit because you pointed out his stats, Shane Sabraski. So. Yeah,
and I tell you, my buddy Kevin Burdick stole one from him over at Ogilvy for his first ever at Ogilvy. Otherwise, Sabraski would have went 6 for 6. Shane Sabraski won 5 features this weekend. I'd say that's okay. He's my number one right now on who's hot. I mean, he'd kind of been not great, but he went up to Gondik Law Speedway in Superior, Wisconsin, and he just absolutely owned that place last year. And I think he still owns that place, so they may have to change the name of it to Sabraski Speedway. I'm not really sure, but he just kills them up there. Now, another person that I have hot, I don't even know if he raced this week. You'll have to tell me. I didn't see him in the results. I don't know if he raced, but Jonathan Davenport is still the hottest dirt late model driver in America right now. Did he race this week, Bert?
I think so. I was looking through the videos on Dirt, and I thought it said something Davenport with MLRA. So I
No,
don't quote.
that was at Davenport Speedway.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Never mind.
Yeah,
I don't know if he raced then or not.
that race there, Ricky Thornton Jr. won that one, and that was actually won by Hoosier Tire because that's another one that rubbered up
Okay.
right away. It was absolutely garbage. Another guy that I have hot, Jeffrey Massengill, 3 wins on the year. He had a pair of them last week. He won this week at the opener over in Proctor. His worst finish right now in late model racing with Wissota in the Wissota late model stuff is third. Been on the podium every night. So keep an eye on that 6M. He's going to win some races, and he is definitely a national championship contender. That kryptonite, and I hope he stays with that car. So let's get to who's not.
This one hurts me because I'm a big fan of his, but Jason Feger is not having a real good season right now. He's struggling pretty good right now, and I'm guessing that might be why he didn't go to Wilmot. That's just my guess. And we talked about him earlier in the week. Just because he doesn't have a win yet, Pat Dorr. And my third one, I'm going to go with Mother Nature because rain at Shawano and Wednesday's Castrol race for this week is already postponed because of rain throughout the weekend and projected rain through the rest of the week.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good one right there because I looked at a lot of forecasts for this coming week's Wissota action. I'm like, weather people are typically wrong. So let's just hope that whole thing shifts and changes. But hopefully we get some races in, right? I got who's not. Pat Dorr's right on the list. He just been not real good. He just hasn't been, which surprised me. He started out good. He had a good night. I think he got second or third his first night out, and then he just been progressively just kind of a non-factor right now. Ricky Weiss, again, I don't even know if he raced this weekend, but he has been absolutely just like laughable, like not good. I don't know if they're going to get their crap together or not. There's a lot of rumors flying around, Bert, and I don't know what's true, what's not. I don't have 100% sources on everything, but the rumor has it he hasn't had the kryptonite or the kryptonite. He hasn't had the sniper out yet. See, the rumor is that he's been running the Bloomquist car, and they changed a couple little things, and they're calling it a sniper. I don't know that to be true, but I've heard that from multiple places. Then I've heard from some people that are kind of tied to that camp, and they say, "Oh no, that ain't true." So, but we're gonna do a little bit more digging on that because that's the rumor going around right now. And if he ain't been very good in the car that he's already been running, then I really don't have an answer for what he's struggling because I can see it with a brand new car with a whole new program, but if he's running his old program and running this bad, that's not good, right? And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm keeping Brandon Shepard on the list. I know he won at Farmer City, but it was a 1-lane train. It was an unimpressive thing. And it wasn't like Brandon Shepard kill them all, drive away from. And then he started on the front row and he backpedaled to fourth at Falls. Brandon Shepard don't go from first to fourth at Falls. He just don't do it. He starts on the front row at Fairbury. He wins. That's what he does. He has not been good all year. In fact, for the most part, Team Rocket, they just ain't been very good ever since they had a little something taken away on the left rear. That has clearly slowed them down, Bert. So put Shepard, we'll put Team Rocket as a whole, put them there. So let's get to the last lap. Brought to you by Frank Zuli's Race Engines. Now, again, race engines built for winners. Bert, listen to this. Listen to this. Billy Christ, his first of the year. Parker Anderson, 2 on the weekend. Andy Rosso got his first of the year. Trey Hess got a win. Jeff Nowak, Hunter Anderson, Rod Lorenz. What's the one thing they have in common? Zuli Race Engines under the hood. Can't argue with it. Right there. You just on paper. Them guys won a bunch of races with Zuli power. You want to win? Give Frank a call. He'll take good care of you. Combine that with a 1-to-go sticker. Unbeatable. Absolutely unbeatable for sure. Now, if everybody in the same class has that, I don't know how that'll really work. You might have to put 2 stickers on the car. We'll figure that out later. So, in modified news, Bert, USMTS. We were going to do picks, but we decided not to. Did you see what happened with the USMTS?
Just from what you told me, I didn't actually see what happened.
Rodney Sanders goes from hero to zero overnight, right? So he won Friday night, looked really good. Saturday night, he was got third on the podium. I looked down on the results. Rodney Sanders DQ. Now, USMTS has been very tight-lipped about this, right? I don't have all the facts. I tried. I reached out to a lot of people. I reached out to people that were there. I reached out to a lot of people. All I got out of it was something in the suspension, some kind of suspension component. We're going to do some digging. We'll find out. Hopefully we have an answer by the next show. But it was evidently enough to where he got DQ'd. Now, I'm not going to completely throw Rodney under the bus because it might have been something minor. I don't know that. I don't have the facts. But needless to say, that's a surprise, right? Because he was the point leader, and now I think he slipped back to third because it cost him quite a few points right there. And for the money they're racing for this year, Bert, that could have been a big, big mistake, a big one right there. So Rodney Sanders, ouch. That's all I got to say. Now, Rice Lake, they had the collectible, what was it? The Trackside Collectibles 40, I think they called it, 2,000 to win for the Wasota late models. And Jeffrey Massengill, another podium. Surprise, surprise, he got third. He was all over Jimmy Mars, who got second. But the story of this one, Bert, the winner.
Well, the story, Sam Mars is the story. There's more to the story from what happened in the race before that, but yeah.
Fill us in. So first of all, yeah, Sam Mars, 17 years old, first late model feature win. That's awesome. You talked about a guy that won back in like the 90s. He wasn't born in the 90s, okay? He was born in 2004, I think it was, or 3 or 4, one of the two. Depends when his birthday is. But Sam Mars, second generation guy, he looked good at the Red Cedar Speedway a couple weeks ago too. Drove by a few guys to get, I think, second there. He's been racy, so it'll be it's good. I tell you, he's obviously got the right pedigree. What are you talking about? What happened before that?
Yeah, well, I mean, not taking anything away from Sam Mars, because I mean it's a huge victory, his first victory. It's a victory that he'll remember for the rest of his life. But I mean, even Sam Mars acknowledged it in Victory Lane when they interviewed him. But James Giassi had the field covered. I mean, he was out front. He was looking good. I mean, his car rotated through the corners just unbelievably well, and he was trying to lap a car and ducked underneath them in 1 and 2. And I mean, I don't think Giassi went up at all. I think the other car came down on him, and they ruled. I mean, Giassi spun out, came to a stop. The other car kept going. I don't know what their caution rule is at Rice Lake, but they called the caution on Giassi. And I mean, you can tell Giassi wasn't happy. He had his hand out the window like that, and he just pulled off the track. He didn't even continue afterwards.
That was Aaron Wilson that was getting lapped, right?
I believe so, yes.
You know where they both work?
Oh, the same place?
And
Mars?
Yeah. That must have been interesting this morning, right? That must have been like, hey, how are you doing today? Piss off, right? You know what I mean? That was now myself. I'm gonna put that on Giassi. Not that he initiated the contact, but he must have had somebody giving him signals. Everybody, right? He had a huge lead. You get to a lapper, it's kind of one lane, right? You got to be a little bit more patient, right? You just got to, and yeah, maybe, and let's face it, yeah, Wilson got a little sideways, but that's why he was getting lapped. He was a first lap car. I bet he won't do that again, right? I've seen that happen. It's one of those deals where I've seen lots of people do that deal, but James, you got to be just a little bit more patient because that was his race to lose, and by literally sticking his nose in there, He could have probably waited one lap and it would have been all over. Boom, drive away, easy win. I think a veteran driver, in fact, the Labor Day shootout last year, the second day took rubber, and everybody's on the bottom. Pat Dorr won it. Steve Larson's right on his rear bumper. They're behind lap cars, and they just followed him around the track. See, that experience paid off for Dorr because he's like, I could probably force my way through there, but he didn't need to because let's be honest, the track, right? The track at Rice Lake, you couldn't leave the bottom. Couldn't leave the bottom. So there was no way anybody's going to drive around him in the middle of the top. He's got to be more patient on that one. But so yeah, you're exactly right. I think the guy did come down into him, but yeah, it was a bad deal for Giassi because he was really fast.
And I would agree with you on the patience thing. I mean, I was actually going to bring that up because, I mean, as soon as he caught the car, he tried to pass him where, if he would have just waited, maybe he could have got him down the back stretch and, that sort of thing. But like you said, he'll probably never do that again. You live and you learn.
No, you learn pretty quickly when that happens for sure. A bunch of notable wins that I just want to give a few people an extra shout out. Brady Utanen, second generation driver, Superior, Wisconsin. He got his first career win in the Wissota Midwest Mon. He got the lead, and what impressed me by that, Bert, is he got into lap traffic and he was extremely patient, right? Opposite of what Giassi was there because he could have forced the issue and he even wore up. You could see him letting off early, and he was extremely patient in lap traffic there. Great win for Brady Utanen. Buzzy Adams, who ain't racing much, but a pair of wins on the week, and he kept Ashley Anderson from going for in a row. Kevin Burdick, a pair on the week. Zabrowski, of course, 5 for 6. Don Shaw, a guy that we talked about, 2 wins. I think he had 1 win all last season in the Wissota area. You got a pair of them this weekend, and I'll talk a little bit more about that on the power ranking show. Parker Anderson with a pair of wins. Robert Petroff out in Montana. He said, keep an eye on me. You ain't mentioned me yet in the power rankings over there for the street stocks. He goes, you're going to mention me now, aren't you? I'm like, yep, because I think he not only got 2 wins, but he got a second and a third on the week too. So 4 podiums for him. So good job to him. So with that said, Bert, let's get to our picks of the week. Okay. And after last week, congratulations, you and Jeff each got one. You each got sweet. I had the exact same amount right as Pete. Okay. Bert, you know what really sucks about that? Is Pete didn't even make a pick last week. Okay. That's not good. Okay. And we know that Keith makes picks and he just usually don't get any and he's at 1. But I'm at 10 right now. You're at 8. You're closing in on me. I'm not liking how you're getting here. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable. Pete and Jeff are at 3 and Keith's at 1. We're going to pick the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Tuesday, they're racing at Bridgeport. Friday at Attica. Saturday at Sharon. So what do you have for this week?
For the first race, I'm going to take Brad Sweet.
Brad Sweet. So Pete is going to take Brad Sweet as well. And Jeff is going to take Sheldon Hodenschild. And Keith is going to take Kyle Larson the first night. Okay. And you're taking Sweet. I'm going to go ahead. So I'm going to take, I'm not going to go with him. I was thinking of that, but I'm going to take Carson Macedo is who I'm going to take. So I'm taking Carson Macedo at Bridgeport. So at Attica, and I'll just read off 2 because I have it on my phone here. So at Attica, I'm looking here. Keith has Sheldon at Attica. Oh no, he has Shots. He has Shots at Attica and Sheldon at Sharon. Okay, Shots and Sheldon. Jeff has Aaron Reitzel and Brad Sweet. That's Friday and Saturday. And Pete has Macedo and Shots. Who do you have at Attica and then at Sharon?
Why don't you pick before I give you mine?
Okay, I'm going to take Sweet. I'm going to take Sweet at Attica. And you know what? I just feel like I got to do this. Well, Pete did it. I'm going to follow Pete's lead. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give Shots another run at it here. So I'm taking Shots on the 3rd day.
Because I already had mine written down before you made your picks, I'm taking Sheldon for Attica and Shots for Sharon.
All right. Well, you ain't gonna catch me if we're both right.
Well,
So
I
there you
know,
go.
but
All
I
right.
said I had these written down beforehand.
You
So
did. You did. So World of Outlaw late models, Port Royal, half-mile track, right? Friday and Saturday at Port Royal. Why don't you go ahead? I'll pick first between us two for Lucas. You go ahead and pick first for the World of Outlaws at Port Royal.
okay, so we're picking Outlaws.
Yep, World of Outlaws Friday and Saturday.
All right, Friday I'm going to go with a local, Greg Satterley, and Saturday I will take Brandon Shepard.
So Saturday and Brandon Shepard. Really? Really? Brandon Shepard. I'm gonna go ahead and take Madden at both. I'm taking Madden to double up. I'm picking him for both. You sure you don't want Strickler?
No.
So Keith actually is taking Sue. He has Davenport both nights. I think he's gonna be disappointed because I don't think he's gonna be there.
For the Outlaws?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is perfect. You know what? I'm gonna give Keith a chance because he's been serving our country. So I'm gonna give him a chance. I'll text him. I'm not even gonna accept that pick. I'm not even gonna accept that pick. So Jeff, he took Satterley on Friday, and he took Madden on Saturday, so that's interesting. And looking at Pete has Bishop on both nights. Now, Lucas Oil Lates, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take T-Mac the first night, JD the second night. I don't know if JD's gonna be there or not. I'm assuming he is, but T-Mac and JD for me. Who do you have for Lucas Oil?
I have JD both nights.
JD both nights. So, Turbo is who Keith is picking. He's taking Turbo both nights. And Lucas Oil Lates, RTJ and T-Mac, that's for Jeff. And then for Pete, gotta look at Pete's here. Pete is taking Moran the first night. That's a good pick. He's been running really good. And JD the second night. So Jeff will get that over to us. I should start posting them up on our page so that we can remember who the heck we got, because I gotta keep asking Jeff who I even had. So there's our picks. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6. Knock on wood, right? Weather permitting, we got 7 races going to happen. And let's end with this, Bert. Actually, before we get to our must-see events of the week, is there anything else that you want to add or touch on? To end here.
Yeah, I just saw this before we started recording, but some sad news. Earl Pearson Sr., it was announced that he passed away. And so our condolences go out to the Pearson family. It's always a tough time when a family member passes away. So thoughts and prayers to the family.
Absolutely. So let's get to our must-see events of the week. And Bert, I'll let you go first. What's your must-see events of this week?
I am going to go with the World of Outlaw late models, just because they're up in an area where there's a good contingent of local late model drivers that can compete with the travelers. So I think we've talked a lot about the World of Outlaw field not being as strong, but the locals up in this area should add a lot to that program.
That's a good point, because I hate when the World of Outlaws come in and they're racing against drivers that are not even on the same engine package. But you get up there, I mean, you got Satterley, Mason Ziegler. There's several. Costner runs good up there. So there's several good drivers up there that will be interesting to see. What else you got?
I'm going to put the Dirt Kings race. They're at Gravity Park on Sunday night, May 23rd. So
That's Scream?
I don't know if it is or not. It wouldn't shock me if Mike's video goes there at least and records it and posts the race later. I don't know that for sure, but he's done that in the past at that track. So
okay.
My understanding was that he inquired about doing that at Wilmont, and the Wilmont track management told him that he couldn't record there.
Yeah, I
So
talked to Jason from the Discount Shop Pals Dirt King series. He said they have a strict policy on streaming, and I can see both sides of that. It's let's be honest. It's 2020.
well,
If they're
well,
not going to watch a race stream there, they're watching a race stream somewhere, right? So
I was just going to say, I mean, the technology is there, and it seems like the majority of the tracks are doing it now. I mean, it's getting to the point where if you're not doing it, you're going to fall behind.
now, with that said, promoters are going to have to step up their game to make it so people want to go there instead of watching. They're going to be in trouble. So
right. I mean, what I'm trying to say is you have to learn to embrace the technology and use it to your advantage.
Right. Who's your pick to win that?
I'll go with Nick Evlink. He won the race earlier this week at Gravity Park. I checked out his Facebook page, and his plan is to race Shawano Saturday night and Gravity Park on Sunday night. So
yeah, he's been solid. I tell you, he's been really good. That's a solid pick. And who got second at that last one at Gravity Park? It was needless to say, Nick didn't drive away. Nick won at Gravity Park, right, when they were there?
Yeah, earlier this year.
So I don't remember who it was. I said Richie, but it wasn't Richie because he got fourth or fifth. But somebody was right on him, I believe, wasn't there? There was somebody kind of tracking him.
Was it Swedberg?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
That's my pick. I'll go with him. With him. So
right.
What's your third race?
I'm going to go with the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. It seems like every race they do is exciting and comes down to the very end.
Entertaining program for sure. My must-see events of the week: the Donlinger Automotive Grand Rapids Speedway opens up this Thursday. If you can't make it there, hopefully you can. But if you can't make it there, that will be on Dirt Race Central. Watch drc.tv. The Gondikla Speedway, I was pretty excited about their races. My least favorite thing in the world is one lane on the bottom. It was not that. The top was the top was maybe a little bit better. Massengill was in the top three in the bottom. I thought it was a really good racetrack over in Superior. That's also on Dirt Race Central. And then I'm going to go with the Lucas Oil stuff. Both of them, but primarily I'm going to go with Farley. I think they're going to have a pretty good contingent of cars over there. The Lucas Oil races are always highly entertaining. So hopefully, again, knock on wood, they actually put water on the racetrack and it's not a rubber fest, right? Because I'm kind of getting wore out on seeing that. So, Bert, lots of information, and I'm excited. We're full-fledged into the racing season here. And the nice thing, Bert, about streaming is if our local track rains out that we wanted to go to, typically we can jump online because it's probably not raining everywhere. Right? So typically we can still see some racing. So that's good. I'm very thankful for that. But with that said, that's episode number 80, AJ Johnson in the books here. I'm Ryan Aho. That is the one and only Bert Lehman. And as Puka always said, go out there and be your dream. And right here, go wild, right? They won game one. They got game two here tonight. So I don't pay attention to much hockey. No, I really don't. I played hockey, not as good as Puka. He was way better than me. He was really good at hockey, by the way. But the fact is, when a Minnesota team makes the playoffs, I pay apprehensively. I pay a little bit of attention because I keep getting let down year after year. So I'm just going to kind of not have high expectations, a little bit of hope, but not high expectations. So I got my wild garb on today. So, Bert, you going anywhere this weekend?
I'm planning on going to Shawano Saturday night, and I think I may head out to Gravity Park on Sunday. Not sure. I have to get some work done before I can make the commitment to go on Sunday.
Nice, awesome. Well, I'm going to go to Grand Rapids on Thursday, and let's see how the weather and everything looks. Let's touch base. Maybe I'll meet you up at Gravity Park. That might be kind of fun. Let me know. It's not that terribly far of a drive from where I'm at. So we'll see on that. So, hey, good chatting with you, and let's do this again next week.